Hey, how's it going? My name is Rafael Chacin, as known as El Capitán Rafucho, and welcome to another episode of Straight Outta Nation. Because not only we can talk about Raiders, but also we can talk about football, basketball, soccer. Because this is a war room for Raider fans, including football fans, college football fans, basketball fans, all the entire war. No BS, no soft takes. We're bringing action, thunder, and lightning. And right now, we got a special guest coming up there because you might know him from Instagram and YouTube because this is a platform to connect with all these content creators, not only for the Raiders, but also for the NFL football fans. So, right now, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to bring you at the stage of my podcast, Straight Outta Nation. We got the Raider Nation, Bobby. So, how you feel about the Raider Nation, Bobby? And welcome to Straight Outta Nation.
Thank you so much. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. It's nice to connect with Raider Nation. I mean, that's why we're here, right? That's the whole reason, why I started my show and started my, IG. It was really just to connect. I'm a member of the Black Hole, proud member. I try to go as much games as I can since, Oakland until now, and try to attend all the parties and get to know all of Raider Nation. But to continue and connect, continue to make new friends, that I consider family now. It's good to be here. I appreciate it because that's
Oh,
that's the whole
yes.
reason why I started this. So it's an honor to be here.
Exactly right now. All right. So the first topic we can talk about the situation between for the quarterback. Now, after all these years of disappointment, right now we just hit the jackpot, which is Fernando Mendoza from the Hosiers, as known as the
Mhm.
Heisman Trophy winner. So
Right,
there's like a lot of expectations coming up there for the future of the quarterback, because after Derek Carr was gone, there's certainly a changes around for the quarterback between Jimmy Garoppolo, also Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. But right now, it feels like there's a divide opinion between for the brand new quarterback, which is Fernando Mendoza, and of course, there's a veteran quarterback from the
right.
Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings, which is Kirk Cousins. So right now, there's gonna be a lot of expectations coming up there between for the rookie minicamp and of course the future of the quarterback. So how could it be like the expectations coming up there for the quarterback that we selected, Fernando Mendoza? Because it's not gonna be like another same mistake just like years
Mhm.
ago, because it's not gonna be really impossible. But between for Fernando Mendoza, I think that kid is gonna be balling and growing, adapting a new system along with a new
Right.
coach, which is Clint Kubiak. How do you feel about the situation?
I mean, I feel good about it for the first time, I think, in my lifetime. We have our quarterback. We had Plunkett, who belongs in the Hall of Fame, by the way, right? But I didn't get to watch, too much of Plunkett because I was just so young at the time. And then, the next winning quarterback after that was Rich Gannon, who's another, to me, is the Hall of great Raider. But he was a journeyman quarterback that fell into our great Raider system, and at that time, and he won titles and almost should have won a couple Super Bowls, before that run ended. And then of course, we get Derek Carr, and it's the most consistent quarterback that we had in years, and he was our homegrown guy. But I think it's a little bit different with Fernando Mendoza because of the Heisman, because he was the first pick. Just if you look at him, he's built to play the quarterback position of the future now, right? So it's very exciting to have Fernando Mendoza. We made the right move. The way the game is now, where the league kind of protects the quarterback. I think Fernando Mendoza, knock on wood, he should be our quarterback for the next 10 to 15 seasons. Um, very happy with the pick, very excited. Actually, just not to dance around the question, but I feel like our last three draft picks have been heading, into the right direction with Brock Bowers and then Aston Genty. All the pieces are coming together. So my expectations for this season is I don't expect us to win a ton of games. I just want to see us improve this season. So as long as we're winning more than 3 games, we're headed in the right direction. Now, going into the next season after that, I expect us to be a playoff team. But this team, I think, we still need to, the team needs to learn how to play with each other, and we need to see, what works and what doesn't work. But I think the ticking clock, or the clock will be on next season. We just need to show improvement this season.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And between for Fernando Mendoza, I think that it was just like a high level trades between accuracy, decision making, mobility, because over the last 2 years, we just drafted very well. Along with
Mm-hmm.
Brock Bowers, we got the best tight end in college football from Georgia Bulldogs. Also, we got from Aston Gentile last year from
Right.
Boy State, the running back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's gonna be something really important that you don't overthink it about like quarterback when you need one. Because this viewer like a legit long-term starter with a top 12 upside. But some people will say, oh, we just got like the wrong quarterback. It's not like that because I know they're gonna be the future, but there's like the by opinions coming out there. It could be good, could be
Mm-hmm.
bad. But after all of that, there's organization needs like a little shake up between for the quarterback situation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and we're always going to have that divide, right? And that's why, going back to Derek Carr, I love DC, but bringing him out of retirement and to bring him back to the Raiders, I don't think that that would be the right move because he's such a polarizing figure. And, that he has a loyal fan base with Raider Nation. It would be even more divided, right? So I'm happy that we went the direction that we went, and of course, I think Cousins will be the starter unless Fernando just outplays him. And the coaches and the team thinks that our offensive line is ready to protect him. You know, I think Cousins will be the starter. Also, I think the best case scenario would be let's let Fernando, sit and learn. We don't have to rush and throw him to the wolves. That's why we have Cousins, unless Cousins just gets hurt or just doesn't look great on the field, then we put in Fernando. But I think the best case scenario is, Cousins plays majority of the season. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Fernando come in, week 5, right? I just hope that our line is ready to protect them. And I do feel confident with Linderbaum, but how is everyone else, gonna jive with this O line in this new system?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Also, the next topic we're talking about it is the best or worst draft picks from the 2026 of our Las Vegas Raiders. So
Mm-hmm.
the biggest one that I just realized is not only about Fernando Mendoza, but also
Mm-hmm.
we got a steal, which is Jerome McCoy from Tennessee Volunteers, a quarterback. Because if you
Yes.
see, look at these highlights, he's a pressman quarterback with strong upside. If it's healthy, it'll feel lower than expecting the stone boards. Because that's like a classic day tree value pick because they're going to be other form drafts loss significantly. Because
Mm-hmm.
for me, Jerome McCoy, if he's healthy, they're going to be like a steal coming up there. I was just like, everyone's having the same right here. But I was just very expected to be something really else. And it was selected for the 4th round. It is
Right.
viewed one of the best value picks because he's
Mm-hmm.
very comfortable for line there, the line of scrimmage. He was exactly to the wide receivers early, and he's the ideal size for the modern NFL corners. No one can say that. But also, when he fell out to the round number 4 and not to the round number 1, because, well, to be honest, right now, it feels like, well, they just fairly fouled out that I was like, he's been like at a developmental label. He has technique refined needed, but he can the ball behind veterans. And the offers
Right.
outside for the cornerback has definitely it has a real shot to become a good starter by the year 2 or 3. But it seems like the type of to pick good drafts that are building in because they have a low risk, high
Mm-hmm.
upside, but quietly become like the biggest steals of the 2026 class. But also there's one worse pick that I could have taken my eyes off because
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna be like concerns for the scheme and the fit. Also, there's Trey Sumter, offensive line for the round number 3.
Mm-hmm.
But he has an elite plus blocker, but he has a weak run game. But he has in a
Mm-hmm.
position certainly. Is it going to be a guard or a tackle? But it's not like a clean fade that could end up just like a depth. but they just waiting until a late round, which is like, uh-oh, this is not going to take it to multiple dimensional swings because we need to get involved with a lot of more defense. So I thought my picks from the Georgia Bulldogs, which is Monroe Feeling could be like a good fit for Las Vegas Raiders. Also, there's Kristen Miller, but they just took it at like there's some picks that some people really understands, but some people didn't understand about like taking away right now. Because our biggest issue between for the 2026 draft class is because we're waiting too long on defensive tackle, and they need to repair right now.
Right. Yeah. It's hard for me to pick, like the best and worst pick of the draft. Of course, after Mendoza, right? Mendoza is definitely, the best pick of the but rounds after that, I thought we did really well, with drafting. None of the guys that we picked were on my draft board. Actually, for the second pick, I wanted Boston, out of Washington. I know that, a receiver wasn't our top need, but I think that he's just like one of those, he's going to be one of those generational receivers. So that's who I wanted for our second pick. However, I'm still happy, with what we got because our needs are for every position. Like, anybody that we get from any position we need right now. We have so much holes, but I agree with you. My my main focus was beefing up the line and building the trenches. But you know, I was. It's hard for me to judge. Like, I won't know until after this season's done on what was a good pick and what wasn't a good pick because to me it looked like it was a I'm kind of agreeing with most of the media that I would give them an A grade, on guys that we picked, especially for the value, right? On what we were able to get in the second round, the third round, two picks in the fourth round. And what I can't even I'm drawing a blank. Our guy from Tennessee, the corner we were
Yeah.
just talking about. What's his name again?
You mean like the offensive line, which is Trey Sung?
No, our guy that we were just talking about that we got in the fourth, the cornerback.
Oh yeah, the Jerome McCoy. Yeah, Jerome
Yeah,
McCoy for Tennessee
McCoy.
Volunteers.
That I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with you there. That was a steal, and it's a gamble, right? Because maybe he's hurt and it doesn't work out, but I don't think so. He's young, right? I think he's only it's 20 years old. He's only 20 years old. He's a I mean, he's a great player, so I'm surprised we got him at the fourth. And then I was listening to the Locked On Raider podcast with Q Myers, and he was saying a good way to compare it is if it works out, we got Asamoah at a Jacorian Bennett price, so that there's huge upside to that. And if it doesn't work out, knock on wood, we didn't give up much to get him. So I'm very excited about McCoy. I'm also, I mentioned that I was upset that we didn't get Boston for the second pick, but then we come back and is it the sixth pick or the fifth pick when we got Benson from Oregon? And I think he has potential to be a great wide receiver, a number one receiver as well. So, I mean, in Oregon, I mean, you have tough competition, and I mean, he's big, he's fast. So, those are my favorite picks. I don't have a I don't have a pick where I just don't like. The thing is just none of those guys were on my board. But when we made the picks, there was no pick where I said, "Oh, what?" Because they made Spytech made trades that worked out. And I feel like this was Spytech's real draft, right? Last year, I think even though Spytech was involved, how involved was he? I think that was Pete Carroll's draft last year. And last year, I could look at it and say, well, why'd we get, a quarterback who we're going to use as a receiver? Why'd we get another quarterback with Cam Miller? And then we ended up cutting both of those guys with Tommy Millott and Cam Miller. Last year's draft made no sense. It was scattered and all over the place, besides Genty. So this season, so far, I'm happy with the draft.
That is right. That is right. And of course, there's been like a leaning heavy like trades and long-term upside, but what does that mean about for like the class of 2026? Because several picks like Kieran Crawford are raw and dependable. And even solid picks like Jerome McCoy, they just need refinement if it needs to get healthy. There's not gonna be like an issue one. But we didn't fully like fits the trenches coming up there because we
Right.
have one big problem, which is offensive tackle. And
Mm-hmm.
they had a clear need to defensive tackle. And they just wait until late rounds to address it. But there's gonna be like a risky for a position that impacts run defense, interior pass rush, overall defensive stability, because you don't usually fit defensive tackle with a 7 round flyer. And this is going to be the positional value versus timing. And the offensive line pick with Sheen concerns, that's going to really worry about it. It's less
Mm-hmm.
about like bad or good picks, about like a location strategy. But we did it very well about like the quarterback. We added secondary depth. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens to do? Because we still have a weak interior defensive reinforcement, which they need to get fits whatever it takes right now. Because there's like a few literary pages before filling core needs, and that's worry about it. That's really worried.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And maybe there are just guys that just didn't really stand out, in the draft. You hear rumors about, talent wise, this might have been, one of the weaker, draft classes in years. So I think there's a possibility when guys start getting, let go and released, we might be picking up some more free agents, before the official season starts. That's just what I think. I think they went for the best guys on the board to them. And we might still not be done, picking up players to fill those holes. Again, with I mean, yeah, there's still a lot of holes to fill, but with Linder happy about that, and still really happy about that pick and hoping that guy just kind of pick up off of Linderbaum's energy and, and bring it on the O line. But there's going to be more guys that are going to get cut, just because they're not to trade them, and so there's room to pick up some more, fill some more spots with free agency.
Yeah, I understand all about it. All right, so here's the last topic that we can wrap it as out this episode of Straight Outta Nation. So right now, when I'm just talking about like the influence about for the fan base coming out there for Las Vegas Raiders, because I had the opportunity to meet some Raider fans
Mm-hmm.
in North Carolina because I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina since
Mm-hmm.
2018 because I was born and raised in South
Mm-hmm.
America. And then in 2018, I
Mm-hmm.
came into Charlotte, North Carolina, and I didn't know about for the
Uh-huh.
NFL, which is the American football. So I just started to get involved with the story, get involved with all these highlights coming up there. And there's one team that it really gets me in. It comes like a DNA. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
a brotherhood, which is Las Vegas Raiders. And I really understand about for the history,
Mm-hmm.
about the stats, about for those legendary players from Rich Gannon to Bo Jackson. Also, there's John Maiden to Al Davis with the popular catchphrase "Just win, baby." It really understand that this fan base of Las Vegas Raiders is just like a brotherhood. Doesn't matter if you're white, black,
Mm-hmm.
Hispanic, Asian, Native American, all this fan base of Las Vegas Raiders represent tradition, culture, loyalty, respect. Also, there's hustle because I've been seeing like a lot of content creators providing their content not only for the Raider fans but also for the popular group of NFL fans coming up there. And I know because I was working
Mm-hmm.
on my channel, providing content not only for the Raiders, but also I provide like
Mm-hmm.
play-by-play in Spanish. So this fan base became like something about for like the family because it never give up like the passion of the fan side, the passion of all these fans because it never
Right.
gets old. Never gets old.
No, no, it does not. And I mean, this is a perfect example of it, like
Mhm.
we didn't know each other, personally until now. And I hope to, talk to you more because when you invited me to, join the show and talk about Raiders, Are you kidding? I love it. I can't get enough people, to talk Raiders with. It's just my passion as well, and that's why it hurts when, the Raider fan base is divided, because I remember a time when we were not divided, and fighting over things. I feel like that really became strong just more recently, with the I think with social media, everyone had a platform, to speak, and that's when you started seeing, Raider fans internally, arguing with each other. But what always drew me to the Raiders is the loyal fan base, and the tailgates, and everyone just, every you get to know everyone. All the Raider fans are really just inviting, right? Whenever you're at a tailgate, you'll be invited over for food or beer or whatever it may be. But we're definitely, I think the most passionate fans, in all of sports. Um, and I think, our record shows, right? We haven't really had much to cheer about for over 20 years, but we still, come together and, talk Raiders and watch the games and wear the gear. And, the tradition is rich. And again, I'm just really, like you mentioned, no matter, what color you are, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, we just all come together as one, and that's, part of the mystique of the Raiders. I mean, they're really, with Al Davis, we were really one of the first teams, the first black coach, the first Hispanic quarterback. Um, I don't know if the first Hispanic head coach, to win Super Bowls. Like that
Exactly.
really speaks volume. And I feel like a lot of teams, it's just a box to check, right? Oh, black coach, okay, Hispanic coach, okay. But the Raiders really did it because there was no, they didn't see color. They just seen who's the best person for the job. And it's
Hmm.
always been like that before it even became just a box to fill. It's the Raiders have always just been an equal opportunity, class A organization. So, yeah, I wouldn't, no matter how bad we've been lately, I wouldn't take it. I could never be a fan of another team. So,
Yeah, it is. And I just wanted to tell you, thank you for this amazing episode right here, because I know that it's been like a good talk with Raiders about for like the draft picks coming out there and the influence for the fan base. So where can we find you on the social media to provide everything about for the content? So I know this is gonna be like the first time collaborating each other, because I know that you follow me on Instagram, which is very
yes.
good. So where can we find you to see like of your analysis and of course of your opinion and your thoughts about like what's happening in the Raider Nation?
Yeah, absolutely. So same thing as my IG. It's at Raider Nation Bobby on YouTube, uh Raider Nation Bobby on IG. And that's where I found. I have my YouTube channel. I do my breakdowns almost daily. And then I, of course, uh relay all that information on Instagram as well, but at Raider Nation Bobby.
All right. So it's been another episode of Straight Outta Nation. My name is Rafael Chacinas, no es el Capitán Rafucho. And remember, folks, subscribe to my channel, Capitán Rafucho, and of course, follow me on different social media, Instagram at Capitán Rafucho 93. It's been another episode of Straight Outta Nation. So thank you very much, and I'll see you there next time at the next hour, which is Straight Outta Nation, because it's not only about the Raiders, but also we can talk about football, basketball, soccer, everything. So salute to y'all. And just like I'll ever say, just win, baby. Salute to y'all.